The internet is a thing, not a place. I know that's really hard for people to conceptualize because it's been presented to us as a place, even to the point where there's like web addresses. But those web addresses used to correspond to actual addresses because it was understood that the internet was a thing that connected different places or different computers at different places, and not a place in and of itself. That was obfuscated the second we started dealing with social media, because those websites that gathered all the social media had the aesthetics of a place, because like that would be where you go. The servers for that would be where you go to see the social interaction that would normally happen in a place. Like you couldn't do church online when it was just message boards. That was understood. Like that did not constitute as church. But the second we can make it look like there's two people, standing with a thin pane of glass of the fourth wall between them, that you could do church. You could do online church because there's an aesthetic value there that at least looks like church, if not, just a bit awkward because there's this fourth wall between us. But the fourth wall isn't glass. It isn't a thin barrier between two people in an actual space. It's wires and translation from reality into digital code back into a facsimile of reality on a screen that never allows for the penetration thereof. The internet is an interconnected network of computers, not a place that you can go to. And that's important because the church is a place you can go to. The church is a place that is supposed to be where the church, as in the people, gather. And those are one and the same. And you don't have that online. Anything that connects you also separates you. The way to see this is to imagine two churches on either side of a street. And the pastors at each church are going to do an object lesson. They have a comically large deep sea fishing pole and a comically large fish hook that they're going to hand to a congregant at the front of their stages. And then the congregant is going to take out line and walk out of the church to the other church. At what point are they with the other church in congregation? Because it's all one big church. We're all the church universal. At what point have they stopped meeting with their church and started meeting with the other church? Because communication can still happen, even in its most rudimentary form, between the hook and the pastor on the pulpit, both ways. You can, pull on that string, and you can even do Morse code. Morse code is a technology and a communication form that wars were fought with. That's how advanced it is, that you could communicate war strategy through Morse code, just dots and dashes. You could do that with a fish hook and a fish line, for the pulpit of these two churches. But at what point does that person in one church who belongs to that church, who attends church at, that side of the street, stop attending as he's pulling out line while he's still connected to the other church? We all know the answer. It's at some point he leaves the congregation, and no matter how much line he has, he's separated from that because all he has is that line. He can be reeled back in, and he still has a pathway to them. He still has connection to them, but he has left the body. He is no longer there. People cannot lay hands on him to pray. If he has not been baptized, you cannot baptize him through that fishing line. That's why church can't happen online, is because the fundamental reality of church is a gathering of the body so that we can minister to each other, so that we can witness to each other, so that the Holy Spirit's gifting of teaching in one individual, like the pastor, can minister to, the wisdom of people sitting in the pews, can minister through that in response to prayer to other people, so healing gifts can be administered, all that kind of stuff. The gathering is important, which is why we're told not to forsake it. And then in this modern age, because of the aesthetics of what the internet is capable of showing itself to be, we have decided that you can do church online. But you can't, because the internet is a thing, not a place. And it is vitally important for Christians today to understand that, because we are practicing something that not only is against the grain of what the Bible teaches, but also against the grain of reality itself, simply because we've decided that that counts. There's no media-based church attendance or church gatherings in the scriptures. And it's not like there couldn't have been. There was written word back then. Why didn't written word constitute church? It was a way of communicating with people, and it was a way of communicating back and forth with people. Why couldn't church just be slowed down? I thought church wasn't just Sundays. Well, we know why it wasn't, because the church is the gathering of the body. This is why it's called a body, so that you can't, just separate one thing out and then say that, we're still the body while the hand is, at home on the couch watching the live stream. No, we need the hand here the same way we need an eye. No body part gets to say to the other ones, I have no need of thee, or that I can be all the way over here and it's not something tragic and, harmful for the church on a long-term basis like an amputation would. If you cut off your hand, it stops being part of the body. It becomes a body part, and it's separated from you, and it becomes a very big deal because it's been removed from you. That's a huge deal, and that's what we do every time we insist that you can do internet-based ministries or internet church. We are meant to gather together. And the internet, while it is a powerful medium for information conveying, all that kind of stuff, it is not a place for church.